It's my feel-good breakfast show.
You're with your feel-good breakfast show. It is Expresso on SABC3. Now, while South Africa has transitioned from a complete shutdown to level 4 of the lockdown in an effort to reopen and stimulate the economy, many small businesses still remain unable to operate. Now, with thousands of South Africans facing an uncertain future, banks like NEDBANK have made significant provisions to lend a helping hand to those in need. Now, here to share the options available to business owners is Alan Shannon. He is NEDBANK's Executive of Small Business Professional Banking. Mr. Alan Shannon, good morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Morning. Thanks for the invitation. It's great to be here.
Look, as of this week, we are officially on level 4 of lockdown, and there's been some excitement around that. But what does it mean for the small business owners of South Africa in particular?
So obviously it means a widening or broadening of those businesses that are now allowed to be open. So many a small business will now be able to sort of open their doors today. Many, regrettably, will need to remain closed for a while longer. I think essentially for those businesses that are opening their doors, they need to just be aware of some of the new regulations that are playing out, making sure they comply with those things. And I think also accept that whilst they're opening their doors, it's also likely that it's not going to be quite business as usual just yet. So I think there's many relief efforts, and I'll mention a couple. And I think the first thing before I do that they should do is just make themselves familiar with what those relief efforts are. Now, in an interview like this, it's difficult, obviously, to take them through the detail of how to access those relief efforts and what exactly those relief efforts can do for them. And if I may, on that particular point, just advise them that information is available. If one, for instance, had to visit our website, nedbank.co.za, go to the business section, there's a section under COVID-19 relief efforts that will explain the detail around what the efforts are, what they're designed to do, and how to go about accessing those relief efforts. And I think, from a banking point of view, most of the banks are at this particular point in time making payment holidays available to their small business and other clients for that matter. Retailers, small business retailers, for example, can be engaging with their bank around suspending their point-of-sale devices so that they don't incur those type of costs. That's a form of relief. It's small, but all these things essentially, collectively can sort of culminate in something more meaningful. Specifically, and the public will have heard by listening to our president on the 21st of April, the announcement of a COVID-19 SME loan scheme. That loan scheme will be going live during the course of the next day or two. And once it does, small businesses really should be making themselves familiar with that particular arrangement, because that's going to help them get to grips with funding some of the operating costs that they're going to need to be spending money on when their businesses go live again. There's debt relief finance schemes. There's schemes for spas shops. There's schemes for people that are currently unemployed as a consequence of their businesses having shut down or at least suspending operations. There's also a really interesting initiative which we as NEDBANK launched during the early part of last week called Back a Business. And this is an arrangement where small businesses can actually get support from those members of the community that really want those businesses to sort of remain open. And again, more details around those type of things are available on our website as well as a site called simplybiz.co.za.
Mr. Shannon, a few viewers who are small business owners, they've written in to us and they've shared the same sentiment, saying that they have used all of their last savings to keep their family afloat during lockdown and not sure that they'll have enough cash flow to get their business operational after lockdown. What are the options available in this regard?
So again, a lot of those options are contained within the relief efforts we mentioned just now. I think there's two in particular, perhaps, that they should be considering. The one, again, is the SME COVID-19 relief scheme that the President announced on the 21st of April. That's specifically to help businesses get started again. And essentially what it'll do, to the extent that small businesses can evidence their ability to sustain themselves beyond this crisis, it will provide them with a mechanism to potentially borrow funds that will allow them to get funding for their operational costs for a period of up to 3 months. And obviously the big hope and expectation is that within a 3-month period, having had that funding to resuscitate your business, you'll be able to become a sustainable business once again. So that's the first thing. The second thing is Now, once you've exhausted your efforts with your family and with your own funding, you can, through Back a Business, make an appeal to the community. So, for instance, if you're running a hair salon, our sense is that when lockdown is finished and we get to the appropriate level where hair salons are likely to open again, then we'll probably see a spike in business, at least for a short period of time. But may not be able to open their doors given they've exhausted all their funding now. What Back a Business aims to do is to get members within the community providing funding to those businesses now for a service to be received at a later point in time. So you could conceivably back a local hair salon within your environment for 500 Rand, knowing that when their doors open again, you're already going to be able to sort of line yourself up for some grooming at your local hair salon to the same value. So it's a way of giving these businesses some impetus and funding now, and for which they will pay back to you once they open their doors again. So access that via simplybiz.co.za. It's a really neat initiative, and one that perhaps is a little off the mainstream loan funding type mechanisms that are available at the moment.
I love it. This is simple interventions that really go a long way in assisting these small businesses. Mr. Alan Shannon, you have done such incredible work at NEDBANK. Thank you so much for doing that, unlocking the potential of small business in the country, but making sure that they stay afloat, that they remain sustainable during these really, really tough times and beyond. We do take our hats off to you. So do go out and check out www.nedbank.co.za. There is a host of information there, including resources around relief when it comes to small businesses. Thank you once again to Mr. Alan Shannon, who is the Executive of Small Business Professional Banking at NEDBANK.
Thank you, and thank you very much for having me.
Now, if you're a business owner seeking relief or advice, you can find all the information you need on their website, nedbank.co.za.
Eta? Yeah, I'm actually watching old matches right now because I really miss live sports. Yo, the only live sport right now is going shopping. I mean, think about it. Putting on my gloves and my mask, staying 2 meters away and no contact. But when it comes to paying, tap in NEDBANK card yam, and I'm done. Let's make tapping to pay a habit. After all, we're all on the same team.